right, Ryan, I am so excited to have you here with us today to just kick off the introductory Agent Investor Spotlight series. Ryan, can you give us a little bit of your backstory? Tell us a little bit about who you are, yourself, and how, for the people that don't know you, a little bit about your journey so far.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me here, and I'm excited too. I'm married. I've been married 15 years. I have two kids, a 16-year-old daughter, 12-year-old son. Worked at the railroad for 16 years, and in 2019 started getting into real estate and slowly got, I guess, full-time. About 2020, I was still kind of juggling working full-time at the railroad and then also doing real estate. I was flipping and kind of buying some rentals and transitioned and quit, and now I'm full-time agent, full-time investor.
So full-time at the railroad. What year, when did you start in the railroad?
I started the railroad in 2006.
Okay.
I think I officially quit. I had 16 years in. I was working full-time in real estate in 2020. Actually had a back injury, so I was off work for I think 6 months the first time. It was just I broke a disc in my back like a freak thing. But looking back at that, it was kind of wild. I was set up at my house for like 6 months, had a surgery. I was off work from the railroad, and that's actually kind of when I was, in a weird way, like my real estate took off a little bit, even from being at home.
Yeah.
And after being off 6 months and going back to the railroad, I was like, no way I can. I mean, I was already wanting to quit, but I was just over it. So then I think I got off medical for another 6 months. So the last year or two of the railroad, I didn't really work there. So I had 16 years of service, but hired out in '06, and believe I quit in whatever that'd be, 21 maybe.
So 21 is when you kind of said goodbye to the whole thing. How did that love for real estate, where did that even, as I like to say, how did you get bit?
Yeah, it was
by the real estate bug?
It was my mom. Growing up, my mom was in real estate. She was an agent kind of.
Okay.
And she flipped houses, but it was more us living in them for a year or two, and we'd rehab them and flip them.
Little house hack.
Yeah. At the time, growing up as kids, we were like, I don't think we thought it was cool.
No,
it was like,
right.
Why is she doing this? But then the older I got, I actually kind of didn't realize it till my first house I bought, I think I was 24, and I bought it. It was a newer home in West Shawnee and didn't need any work. That was when I was working at the railroad. I got laid off from the railroad, and I just had my daughter. She was like 3 weeks old. My wife just quit her job, and then I got laid off literally right after we bought our house. So looking back, that's kind of that year was super stressful, and I was looking into books. I'm like, man, what am I going to do about, should I save my house? The market was crashing. This was '08. I had to sell my house for a loss. It was crazy. And so anyways, we made it through all that. We moved in with my wife's parents.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be a few months. I was kind of iffy on moving in. And then once I moved in, I'm the one that loved it. I think we stayed there 2 years, and I was able to save up some money. And then I was looking for a foreclosure. It killed me that I lost money on that house.
Right.
We had to move in with them. And fortunately, looking back at it, it let me save up some money. And then that's when I was doing all my research. One of my friends was in real estate. I called him and I was like, hey, here in the next year or so, I'd like to buy a foreclosure. And that's what I ended up buying. I bought a place, a townhome in Lenexa, and we lived there and rehabbed that one, kind of what my mom would do. And I sold it 2 years later, and I was back at the railroad at that time. It was a temporary layoff, like a furlough. And at closing, I got a check for, I think it was $56,000, from selling that.
Yeah.
And that was in 2013. I used that money to buy another personal, and I moved into that one, rehabbed it. I was literally learning off YouTube on stuff to do. And I had some buddies that were contractors, and essentially that's kind of how I got into it. And I had planned on when I first got that check, I'm like, I'm going to get into flipping,
Right.
But then I used that kind of for personal houses. So even though I was flipping kind of house hacking personal, I didn't actually get into real estate till 2019. as like a business. But that's kind of what led into it all. And,
So you were kind of doing it on the side from 2013 all the way up until
yeah,
2021-ish.
2019 is when I bought like my first flip outside
Okay.
of, my personal house. But the years in between, it was always my personal house and trying to figure out how I could actually like the personal house seemed easier,
Sure.
to buy a flip, as an investment property without like a FHA or conventional loan kind of seemed, impossible. And that's where I started listening to a ton of podcasts. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, literally hundreds of hours of podcasts while I was at
Absolutely.
work on the train. That's all I would do. And that's where I kind of learned, the investment side of things and realized that I didn't actually have to have like $100,000, $200,000 cash to go buy a house. And, I realized that I could leverage, either hard money, private money. And I actually ended up partnering up with a business partner on my first deal. And that's kind of how I got into it.
Well, you kind of mentioned that. Can you walk us through that very first investment deal?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you said you kind of lost some money, but can you tell us about what you did, how it worked out, how you find it,
Yeah.
and went through your mind a little bit during that
And
time?
the first deal, we didn't lose money. I lost money on my first personal
Oh,
house.
okay, gotcha.
And fortunately, that first deal, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at now if we would have lost, the first investment deal. Who knows what would have happened? But yeah, my first deal, he's still my business partner today. And, I'd been friends with him for 20 years. He sold an insulation company.
Okay.
Back in, I think he was, maybe back in 2015 or 16. So we were hanging out quite a bit for a few years and just talking about businesses. And I was interested in real estate, and he had a couple other businesses that he had started. And I asked him if he'd be interested in partnering up and flipping houses. He was kind of, hey, I might be for it. I think he was kind of nervous about real estate, or at least flipping
Right.
at first, obviously. He did own some like industrial commercial buildings for his old company, but had never like flipped a house. So I kind of pitched him on this, and he said that he was comfortable, bringing X amount cash. We'd partner up. I'd find the deal. I'd essentially, run the contractors, make sure it'd get done, and then we'd list it and sell it. And after he kind of was on board, I called everybody that I knew I had a couple buddies that had left the railroad and they're flipping houses. They were full time in real estate. So I called one of them and I just asked if, send me a deal if you can't take it on, or let me know if you come across anything. And a couple weeks later, he brought me a little crappy house in Waldo.
Those are the best.
Yeah, and we bought it. And I actually went on Bigger Pockets when I did this, and I remember paying for like a pro account, whatever it was, like $35 a
Right,
month.
for the little deal
Yeah,
calculator.
so I went in and like had a picture of the house on there. I had a friend run comps on it, an agent, and then I had a contractor go over and give me a bid on the rehab. So I put this, essentially pitch deck together and went and met my buddy, and he's like, "Dang, this is professional,"
Yeah.
He's like, "Who did this?" And I was like, "Oh, I did it online." But he was in, and we bought it, and I think a week or so after we bought, he had never seen it in person, and he went and walked it, and literally walked in, and he was like, "We're screwed." He's like, "We are not going to make money on this." He was like, he 100% thought we were going to lose on it. It was just, it was literally barely a shell of a house. We had to do everything. And I projected we'd make, I think it was, hey, we're going to make in between $50,000 and $60,000. And that was probably just like throwing a dart,
Sure.
looking back at it all. And we somehow got it done, had all kinds of issues, and which I thought were issues. Now it's just like normal.
Right. Everyday house stuff.
Yeah. And looking back on it, and we sold it, and I think we made 51,500 or something. It was like 51,000 on it, right in between. And it was a little bit of luck, a little bit of like,
Sure.
I did a ton of like labor work on it, like in between work. And I was over there literally at like 3 a.m. a couple nights, like trying to get it finished. And we got it done and got it sold. And then after that, he was like, "Hey, let's do another one." And the next one went super smooth. And I don't think he ever even saw it. And we made some great money on it, and then a couple more, and then after that we officially kind of partnered up. At first it was just he was buying it. We each had our LLCs, and
Sure.
we'd split it at closing, and after a few we just actually partnered up and kind of built a decent size portfolio together.
That's fantastic. It
Yep.
sounds like, and the market sometimes is that like little boost too that we all need, and it
Oh,
makes us all geniuses. And then when
well,
it turns, it can make us all
2019 was easier. I say
absolutely,
though, if we would have got it in 2016, we'd probably be retired now.
yeah, 100%.
But I'm just happy we got in.
Hmm.
Any times like get in now, no matter what you're doing. It's
Yeah,
not going to be a perfect market or time ever.
and we always say it's like the first one is that one that it teaches you the most.
Oh, it's so nerve wracking. Once you get that out of the way,
Yeah,
I mean, I was so nervous, and I, I thought we could get it done. Looking back, I can't. I mean, I think it was a year or two later, we'd probably flipped like 50 houses. And I looked back I was trying to look for pictures, and I looked when we bought it, and then when we sold it, and it was under 90 days, and I was like, I can't believe we got all that done. And I mean, I probably could barely do it today. And looking back, it felt like a year though, like while
right,
we're rehabbing it and stressing, and neither one of us, me and my partner, we're like, how'd we get that done so quick? But we didn't know any better,
right.
and a little bit of luck, a lot of crazy, I mean, some stories on it that were crazy, but it taught us a lot and
It
got
sure
it done.
does. So we were talking about some of those mistakes. What were some of those earlier mistakes too that you learned from, or learning moments that kind of shaped how you invest now?
Yeah, I think the biggest, we had a big loss on a property in Kansas City, Missouri. It was a 12-unit apartment complex, and we bought it. I The reason I bought it is I had a couple smaller. I had a fourplex, I think a couple duplexes that I bought kind of in the same area, like in the historic Northeast, and did really well on them. I mean, one of them I bought for literally it was like $29,000, which is crazy, but I mean, it was, and there was squatters in there. It was
Mm.
insane. Like somehow I got that done and rehabbed, and we made great money on it. I got it rehabbed. We refied it. We filled it with tenants, and then I sold it on a cap rate. I think it was a out of state investor that bought it, and we I just thought that I was like, man, if we did that with this 12 unit, we can do the same thing and make four
Yeah.
times the money. And our biggest mistake on that was we bought it. It was 12 units. It needed electrical. It was a whole different ball game on the permitting, 5 units and up for commercial. And COVID also hit, and so we were
Oh,
waiting on permits. We had to get like the plans for the meters, and then they're like custom. You couldn't just buy like a duplex meter, 100 or 200 100 amp meter. You can just buy on literally Amazon or Home Depot. These were like, I don't. They were custom, and they had to be ordered, and they were 550 days out to get because COVID. Everything was shut
oh
down,
wow.
so we had holding costs on this. We
Sure.
had break-ins. We were dealing with the city permits were like insane to get.
Yes.
I think we put 12 furnaces in, and by the time they were in, and by the time the city inspector got there to inspect, all of them were stolen. I mean, this place was a nightmare. And so now I do not, I mean, obviously I don't buy anything in that area, but I definitely don't buy like a commercial building that needs electrical, plumbing, all the utilities, permits. It's just we lost enough on there that I don't even look at those deals.
You just tried to forget it and
Yeah,
bury
so
it.
at least we barely got out of it.
Yeah.
And today it's still not. I mean, we sold it probably, I don't know what it was, 3 years ago, and today the guy we sold it to, it's in the exact same situation. He hasn't been able to get it done. So we're fortunate we got out of it, and even though it was a bad deal, it could have been worse.
Absolutely. And it sounds like you learned a ton, and you
Yeah.
kind of dipped your foot in the water and said, that's not for us at all.
No, and I think though too, like getting started in these like C or D class areas, it's you got to get your feet wet somewhere.
Sure.
And the the entry over there, buying stuff for cheaper, the rents are pretty high. It's just an easier market to get into. So a lot of people get into that. And then everybody you talk to that's been in the game for 20 years, they essentially sell that and they move into A class. And I think it's just kind of what you have to do unless you have quite a bit of cash or capital to, buy in better areas. So, it was a great learning experience, and it's, it
Yeah.
is what it is.
That pay for your tuition
Oh,
learning experience.
it's crazy. I think I look at it now too, and it's like, anywhere that I buy now, I would like to be able to take my kid to show them.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't do that, then I don't think I should be buying there. And it kind of like, I don't even like going to some of those areas now, let alone like
Right.
taking my kids. So that's kind of like what I try to think about, now and now I buy in better areas and my kids I'll take them there.
Well, tell me a little bit about how that journey evolved for you. So you started with single family, then you've got some midterm. I know you've got some short-term stuff and even apartments. That's a lot of different things. How did that evolve for you guys
Yeah.
over time?
I think it was just doing a lot of different stuff to see what works because at first you don't know, I mean, do you want to do short term, midterm apartments? We were doing a lot of single family flips and then we were essentially buying houses to single families. We were flipping a lot, mostly in Johnson County, but we do some KCMO, KCK, and we'd flip a few and then a few that we'd rehab, we'd refi and keep as a rental. And a lot of them were starting out long term, and then we just tried a couple short term, Airbnbs, and we essentially now we have 100% of them we don't have any quote unquote short terms. They're all midterms. We have 25 of them. Most of them are in single family houses in Johnson County, and we just kind of transitioned. It just we started getting people trying to book for like 6 months, and we couldn't because we had weekends, that were already booked up 3 months out or whatever that was. So we kind of just tried it. And we blocked out our calendar for 30 plus days and started getting bookings. And then we would add a house and we just, hey, 30 plus days. And we kind of, over time became, I guess the people that they'd call for quote unquote midterm stays, and
Yeah,
now it's pretty common because there's a lot of restrictions and stuff. We saw that coming, everybody did, but
sure.
that was a big reason transitioning into it too. Even though we don't have any in KCMO, a lot of people had to transition into 30 plus days after the KCMO restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
The permitting on short terms, I don't know exactly what it is now since we don't have any, but it's hard. So if you weren't permitted, a lot of them just transitioned into 30 plus days. And then Johnson County, we like it better too because just, we don't have people coming in for the weekends and bothering the neighbors. And,
Right.
we have awesome tenants. We work with a lot of athletes, Royals and Chiefs players that stay for the season. And then a lot of families are out of homes, essentially in the same neighborhood that insurance is paying for while their home is being rehabbed from like fire damage, water damage, whatever, storm damage from like a couple of the tornadoes or storms we've had. So, we're getting good tenants, good families, and, the neighbors like us. And, it's better than
For sure.
high turnover on Airbnbs.
And when you keeping the neighbors happy is one of the
Yeah.
most important parts of that game for sure.
They're good. They're not always happy. You can't keep everybody happy. but
You sure can't. But well, tell me, what's your favorite? Do you have like a favorite strategy, property type, and why is that?
Yeah, I mean, rental wise now, like I bought a 29 unit apartment complex, I think in 2020 also, and we still own it. That's I think we thought we were going to transition all into multifamily, and then once we started buying it, we kind of, I mean, we set it and forget it. It's a long term rental. We have a property management that runs it. It's easy, and you kind of forget about it. We just don't make any money on it. I mean, very little. So we're probably going to try to hold that for a while, maybe sell it. Those are with the rates going up. We bought it at a low rate. It's hard. It's all about a cap rate when you sell. So if we bought it at 4% and now somebody's buying it at 7, I mean, it's hard to make money on it. So the market and really matters on where the rates are because it affects the cap rate when you sell it. So we're kind of setting on that for now and eventually might sell it. But then we bought a 39 unit in Lawrence and about 2.5 or 3 years ago. And our plan was just to hold that as a multifamily. And we ended up, it was already condoed out. It was individually parceled out as condos. So we actually transitioned after we bought it and like changed our entire plan on it. And we started selling off each condo. So we were flipping
Oh, wow.
condos on it. And
That's a great strategy.
yeah, and now we actually have our last ones under contract now on that. That project will be all the way done. We've sold and under contract on all 39. So that led us into, we bought a 27 unit out in Paola. We're about halfway through that one. That was one parcel. That was a little different. We bought it and we had to go to the city, get it all approved to parcel it out and individually start an HOA. And now we're essentially selling off each unit. It's good too because it's kind of the quote unquote affordable living.
Right.
They're the most affordable thing you can buy that's nice and livable in Paola. And kind of similar, we have another 27 unit in Lawrence we just bought. Those are townhomes, but they do great. We don't do much to them. We'll do small rehabs or make readies and list them. So the value adds kind of getting them parceled out individually and selling them as either a townhome or condo. So that's kind of our focus now on our flipping side of the business is buying stuff like that and flipping
Buying that
stuff.
rental and kind of changing the property, the property type to a townhouse, condo. That's incredible. Well, how do you decide, Ryan, whether a property should be long-term, mid-term, short-term rental? And what are some systems and tools that have kind of helped you and your family scale now across multiple property types?
I mean, our main focus now is buying these bigger properties and for active income, to selling them off. And then our midterms are probably going to keep about 25. I think the main thing is we're not trying to build them up to 50 or 100. It's very hard we like being in Johnson County. I just don't know if the market would get saturated even with us bringing 50 more or whatever, and it's, managing them and placing tenants in them. 25 is hard enough to do, but I mean, and we have a good team. We have a girl that works with us full time, and that's one role of hers, and she's awesome at filling them all up and managing that. And we have a full time maintenance manager that he kills it on, managing all those. So it's like, hey, I don't think we want to grow that much more. It's, I kind of like how it is. And then we're doing our active income on these condos and townhomes. And then I think we'll transition maybe a little bit into for the rental and hold to buy like some industrial that's triple net. We can kind of set it, forget it. We don't have to worry about toilets and,
Right. Have the maintenance covered by your tenants.
Yep. So that's kind of our transition. We're doing it now, I guess. We do have an industrial building under contract right now. So that's kind of maybe add 1 or 2 of those a year with our active income and kind of set with what we have. And that's kind of our focus right now.
Do you have a goal or a number that you guys are striving to
hit? We
with?
always do. We sat down and definitely have goals every year. We've kind of changed it just because of the market. And, one year we're like, hey, this buy, 2 apartment buildings. Mm-hmm. And then we get halfway through the year and we decide, oh, we're flipping these as condos. So right now, 100% we have, a goal to buy probably another one of these multifamilies. We have one under contract right now out of state. It's a really big deal. So we're trying to work through that. And next year we might get one more, depending on a couple deals and how quick the other ones are selling. And, 1 or 2 of those deals a year is probably what we want to do, and then take that income and buy 1 or 2 industrial buildings, essentially.
And kind of keep leveraging that out and seeing what comes next.
Yep.
And
Yep.
That's awesome.
And then I still work. I'm an agent, obviously, and
Right.
I work with investors to help them find deals to flip and buy as rentals. So I'm pretty active on that, bringing deals to some. I only work with a handful of investors, but they'll buy almost any deal that's good. Then I help them, and I do some consulting on the rehab and refer contractors and help them get it rehabbed, and then essentially sell it, as a flip. So then I'm listening on the back end of that, and that's just another kind of active
Yeah,
income stream for me, and keeps all my contractors that we used to work with busy, and
absolutely.
so that's been good too.
Well, walk us through. I mean, design is such a big part of that rehab process, and with your background, you've done a lot of that design and rehab. How does that really influence your investment decisions?
Yeah, I think it's hard because when we're doing these condos and townhomes, we're doing like nothing to them, like very very minimum, which
Right.
is fine as long as they're selling. It's like, oh, I don't care,
Yeah.
if it's brown walls and if that's what's selling. Like we literally on some of them, the payola ones, we don't go in and make them super modern. It's just not what the people are looking for. A lot of people are buying them when they're retiring and their maintenance provided, and so they're downsizing, selling a house. If we went in and painted it all white and had courts and this and that, it would it just the value's not there for those. But then also when we have a midterm rental that's a 600 or $500,000 house in Johnson County, you have to have nice kitchens, master bath. You have to, it just has to, it's a high end client usually living there. So even our houses at 500K are probably lower than what they might be living in, like especially these athletes that have houses, and, a lot of them have permanent houses out of state. So you have to make them super nice.
Yeah.
But then again, so it's all different. And then when you're flipping, depends if you're flipping a $200,000 to $400,000 house, you can use a lot of kind of the same fixtures and granite or quartz and cabinets. You start getting up into 750 and $1 million. That's a whole different design on. Now you have to have custom cabinets. You have to have definitely a different countertop, different flooring even. So that is a hard part, especially if you're using all the same contractors flipping a $200,000 house to $1 million. The quality's just different there too. So flipping wise, we try to stick like 400K and under, and
Mm-hmm.
then for one, it's just the easiest sell, and it's the bottom of the market, depending on what area of Kansas City you're in, and then you can use a lot of the same materials, and it's just too hard to do multiple houses at a time, and you're picking out different
Sure.
paint, different flooring.
No, you got
We
to
like
keep
to
it
use a lot of this,
uniform.
yeah,
Yeah.
and over time you got to keep up and see what everybody else is doing, and walk in a lot of new builds, and it's different on that too. A lot of new builds are going with like creamier colors, which look great, but they're doing the same color on ceilings, walls, and trim,
Mm-hmm.
but they're big open houses. Like I've done that on some smaller properties, and it almost looks like you like cutting corners, because it for some reason, a smaller little house, you paint everything the same color. It's like people are wondering why you did that. But then a $1 to $2 million house with big vaulted ceilings, and they look awesome. Like it's just different. So I think you just gotta see what's going on, see your comps. Don't A lot of times don't over rehab it. If we just sold one in Shawnee that we barely did anything to, but that's what the comps were like. So if and same with Baser, we had one in Baser and we didn't paint the cabinets. We left brown
Mm.
cabinets. That was how all the comps were. So it's like, hey, this not over, rehab it and make it modern, and
Right.
So I think it's just looking at the comps and
And I think new flippers have a tendency to do that,
yeah.
where you want it to
Oh,
just be,
yeah, you want them to be awesome and nice, but they all don't have to be.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Well, what's one rehab story, Ryan, that taught you a big lesson, maybe something that didn't quite go as planned for you guys?
I think it was just that big unit, and we stay away from big big rehabs where you need tons of permitting. Um, a perfect rehab or perfect flip or something you're going to hold on to would just be something 19, 80 or 1975 and above, where you don't have to, take out walls. You don't have to add square footage. You're not having to just do a ton of structural stuff.
Sure.
I think it's just less is more, especially in this market. You don't want to buy something right now where you're having to get a huge rehab and waiting months and months for permitting. And, if you're doing an addition or whatever that is, it works well for a lot of people. But right now in the market, if we could get in and out and do very minimal carpet paint,
Mm-hmm.
vanities, some tile, and get it listed within 3 to 4 weeks, uh, I think that's, been the best plan for us lately, just because the market's changing so quick. I
Right.
mean, literally, it changes within weeks. So we don't want to be stuck with anything
Sure.
for
And you could probably
4 months.
reuse that money 3 or 4
Yeah, hundred
times
percent.
versus having your money tied up for six or
Yeah,
six
we
months.
we flipped a we flipped a it was like a little over $1 million house, and it was like a 6 month rehab. And I I think we made I don't I think at one point we thought we made a little money on it, like $7,000, but then there was some issues after, like some plumbing
Yeah.
issues that we had to go. I think we lost it, broke even or lost money, but it was crazy. While that one was on market, we got like a little Lenexa, like 1,200 square foot, like split level, and it was a simple rehab. And we did that in like 3 weeks and got it listed, got it under contract after the Leewood house was already listed. And we actually made money on that other one. We're like, man, 3 weeks of work compared to 6 months. And it was just what we were used to kind of
Yeah.
doing. Like every time we do these bigger rehabs and kind of different, it's like they work and it could work. But I think it's just kind of sticking to what you know. And,
Yeah. I was going to say that it's like almost you've got to know your buy box and stick with that
yeah.
instead of trying to be creative and get you in
Everything's
trouble.
shiny and everything seems like a
It
great deal.
does.
And then, and that's just goes back to, it's different everything. It took so much more time just figuring out, like, even, the tile flooring, what are we going to use on this house? We couldn't use anything that we had used before. And it turned out great. I mean, it's a really cool house, but I won't do one again unless it's my personal or something, unless I'm moving into it.
Uh, well, you've talked a little bit about you were investing for yourself, and now you're sharing that you're helping achieve some of your clients' goals through real estate. What's inspired that shift for you?
Um, I mean, it's really just working with most of my investors are good friends of mine that I've met
Mm.
like over the last 6 years of real estate. One of the guys, he flips, 30, 40 houses a year. I'm listing all of his. I like working with clients that are easy. If I send him a deal and here it is, there's no emotion to it, he'll buy it. He doesn't even walk or see most of these properties. Um, so it's people like him that, he's so easy to work with. When I don't want 15 investors.
Sure.
I'd rather have 5 that are like easy and, just simple to work with. And also, I have one of my buddies, he works at the railroad and he still works there, and he's flipping. I think he's done 3 or 4 this year, and he's awesome.
Wow.
And it's really cool to see like his stories, and his story is insane. He's he came here from Africa, literally, like, he's living the American dream. He's
Wow.
working a really good job at the railroad, but now he's buying rentals. He has, I think, 3 or 4 rentals, and yeah, flipping 3 or 4 houses a year. So like helping him's like the coolest thing ever. Like actually like getting him some rentals, and I mean, he's gonna he's already so successful, but like in 10 years he's gonna be uber successful. He's just such an awesome guy, and I think it's cool helping people like him. And there's a few others, but
Yeah.
he's amazing. You need to talk to him sometime.
I would
Get
love
him.
to.
He's the best guy in the world. Speaks 6 languages. He's like the most positive dude, and like so it's cool. Like I have a house under contract with him right now that he flipped, and he's just so grateful, and it's awesome. I mean, it's better seeing him make money off a flip. I mean, I'm happier, than doing it myself. Like and I'm still listening, I'm making some
Sure.
money. And so I think that's kind of the, you know, what right now with investors, and seeing people like him win and kind of get into it. And, it's super hard to get in and you're scared. So kind of like guiding people like that and getting in is really cool too.
And it's almost like you've transitioned to that coach,
Yeah.
where you're able to guide them, show them the right property.
Yep.
And then we all know it. It's like you got to do it afraid your first few. And then having a mentor and
Yep.
an agent guide that understands the market like you do, I'm sure is
Oh, it
huge.
is. And that's how I mean, 100% of, where I'm at, is, being around the right people. My business partner that was, insanely successful with a business that he had sold. And he has like everything that I can't do in business, he has. So like,
Yeah.
you know, we, we worked well together, but then also I have just a ton of other buddies that are like, that I met right when I got into this, and they're all insanely successful. And we've kind of like grown together, and even joining Huff's team, it's like I want to be around the people that are actually, you know, the best people in the business. And I feel like I am, and that's huge. I mean, obviously your network, but I mean, I feel like I'm around literally all the best people in real estate and business, and that's kind of
Yeah,
what
it's
I feel
that
like I've
that
done.
tribe that you
Yeah.
become, that average of the 5 people. And
Yep. Oh, that's so true.
when you start attracting those right people in your life, everything gets better.
100%.
That's
And
awesome that you've got that.
it is. It is. It's all about your network. I've been good at networking.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's truly like, even outside of real estate, I have just great group of friends and people that are very successful, and just, and everybody works off each other, helps each other. So, and I mean, I've always kind of had that, but in the last 5 or 6 years, I mean, it's really just been getting into this and meeting new people, and, you know, just hanging out with the right people, asking the right questions. And, once you start getting in those rooms, you're meeting other people. And, I mean, it's wild how much it can change your life for sure.
It really is about who you know.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of clients do you find yourself most drawn to? I know you mentioned investors, but is there a certain type of investor? I know that 3 or 4 for you is kind of that
Yeah.
fine number. But are you looking for your first time investor? Are you looking for the person who knows exactly what they want? What gravitates you to the
Well,
people you choose
a
to
little
work
bit of
with?
both. I think, it's awesome having somebody that's a seasoned investor where, they can trust you and, hey, I'll buy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then two, it's like, I think some people look at that like, you know, I have buddies that are like, well, why does he get all the deals? Why does he do this? And, he's easy. He's easy to work with. And, I wish I could get 100 more deals, but I think the main thing is it's hard to find good deals. It's even harder to find good contractors to get these deals done.
Sure.
I mean, that's a whole nother animal, which, fortunately we have great subs, and just meeting people over the years, you find,
Find good
good
dudes.
people. But then too, it is kind of nerve wracking with somebody that's brand new. It's scary because there's so much risk involved. And I mean, that's out of anybody's control. If the market, anything could happen. So like somebody on their very first one, it's kind of hard to like get them going. And those are the ones that are the hardest, because you're trying to make sure that the deal 100% works, because you don't want to lose money, or you don't want to make them
Right.
$5,000 for 6 months. So, um, I think it's just personally how people are. And, a couple of my, investors, like even getting them in first, like my buddy Francois, like he 100%, if he made $0, but he learned something, he wouldn't be mad. Other people, you know,
Yeah.
it's just their mindset and personality. And, I think just getting, especially people like him that's so grateful for anything. Like I love working with that, but I've worked with some, first time home buyers for their families, and that's cool too, because I'm helping them find a house, and I can, it's not an investment, but it's a personal property, getting them in. I feel like the value I bring is like being able to find them a house that they can, get for a little under market value, and then do a little bit of rehab and, refer these same contractors or subcontractors over to, hey, here's a flooring guy, here's paint,
Exactly.
here's my countertop guy, and just letting them know what stuff costs, I mean, because people walk houses and they don't know if it's
Sure.
ten or $50,000 to do a kitchen.
Yep.
And so that's first time home buyer stuff like that. I like buying or finding houses that they can do a little bit of work to, and um, something they can be happy about and
Yeah.
excited. And
And then you're set them up with some nice equity
yeah,
just by referring out and doing a
100%.
couple basic things.
And if you start, anybody, you'll work with them for life,
Yeah.
essentially. I mean, people are going to buy, same people are going to buy and sell that house 3 times over in the next 15 years.
You're absolutely right. And I mean, it's powerful how real estate, especially compounded over time, can completely change a family's net worth and financial trajectory just by a couple right moves.
Oh, it's crazy. I would love for all of them to like, and when we're looking at these houses that they're moving into, I'm always like, hey, if they know I do investment and have rentals, so they're always like, what do you think I could rent this for if I ever move out in a couple
Yeah.
years? Which that would be the best case scenario. Have their first rental, get another house. So it's kind of it's cool to get them at least their foot in the game and
Yeah,
start.
help them think a little different and
And I
start
think
thinking
too,
like an investor.
people, I bought my house pretty young. It seems like people are a little older buying now, or I know they are. I think there was a stat showing like it used to be 24, 27, like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
and
I heard this weekend at our
38 or
41
41.
now is
Yeah.
what they say. 41 is the average age of the first time home buyer.
Wow, that's crazy.
And they were just talking about that they've lost on the backside of that where the biggest bell curve is.
Mhm.
They lose that 10 years on the backside
See,
or the most
if you can get them in,
you can get them in early.
yeah, it was crazy. I was talking to a guy in the sauna today at the gym, and he used to play for the Chiefs, and he knows I'm in real estate. And we
Yeah.
were talking, and he was kind of asking about the market and what was going on and this and that. And he had told me that he wished, I think he played in mid 90s to late 2009, or I don't know. He played for like 15 years, but he was saying he wished he would have bought some stuff, and everybody says that. I mean,
For sure.
everybody. And I'd talked to another athlete that he actually played with. I had talked to him this summer, and he told me he did. I think he played in the league for like 6 years, and he told me he was able to retire because he bought real estate his second year in. And he said he still owns some apartments. I think this was from the early 2000s. And so he was telling me, he's like, he just got fortunate. He said he blew all his money the first year. And the second year, he called a college buddy that worked at a bank and had him like, he's like, you're my financial advisor. And he said that's how he started. He was paying him whatever, weekly or monthly checks, like very
Yeah.
little. And then he was investing in real estate in Lincoln. And it was kind of cool, like hearing that. And he would have never bought if that wouldn't happen,
Wow.
And, it's crazy hearing these stories from two people that, bought and didn't buy. We're not saying the other guy's not doing probably pretty well, but, no matter what you're doing, if you could buy one or two or 100 or whatever that is, I mean,
Yeah. And to just think that you've got one athlete who can't, and you've got the other athlete that is now set up for
Yeah.
life based on one
it's wild.
purchase of a home.
And I think too, if people won the lottery 20 years old, like, or had money,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to know what to do,
Right.
But I think real estate's cool now. Social media makes it feel, I think kids think it's cool to own a house. I mean,
Yeah.
but for some reason they're not buying until they're 41. They're
Yep.
saying, yeah, rates and this and that. But hey, and I don't know. The rates have always been
The rates will be what they
the
are,
rates the rates are good right now. Everybody just thinks they're up since
Yeah.
we had 2 and 3% for a while.
Well, that was like a gift from the real estate gods that I don't think will ever return in our lifetime. And the irony is, if people are waiting for 2020 to happen again, they're just never going to get in,
Same
and
people
that's
wait.
huge disservice.
I bought my personal house in 2020. People said I was buying too high the price, blah blah blah, and I bought it 2.5%. And I mean, I was already in real estate, and I was so confident that I was like, this is the perfect time to buy, especially if I was going to live there. And
Yeah.
I'm still living there. I plan on living there, but 2.5% rate, like I could have overpaid $100,000 and it still would have been a steal,
Yeah.
but I didn't overpay for sure, but, but people,
Especially now at 2025, right?
yeah, people, yeah, believe me, it's worth more.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things it sounds like you're passionate about is investing in others, educating and inspiring. What are some of your biggest life lessons that you've learned that real estate has maybe taught you about money and life?
I think I think the biggest thing is like when I worked at the railroad, I just had this mindset of like, I hired out at 22. I was making, great money, especially for a 22-year-old, no college degree. In my 30s, that like great money was kind of like not so great. It was still decent, but once when you're doing that, it was hard to leave because it was like, how can I make the same or more money? But just kind of hanging out with different people and doing it. And I mean, I was telling myself I was going to quit once I replaced my income.
Mm.
And I think I had a couple flips close and I was out of town. And like in 1 week, we closed some deals. And like, it was a few months of like these flips, but in that 1 week of closings, I literally made like the same amount in a week that I made in a year at the railroad. But I was still kind of nervous to quit because it's like, hey, is this gonna, be consistent? And I think it's just I started hanging out with different people, different mindsets. People were super positive about, just different. The mindsets were just different.
Yeah.
And now it's even crazier because like you step up to even different levels of mindset, like and success and people stories and now it's even 10 times, like the network of people now. I'm like, even from 3 years ago, it's like, man, it's crazy what some people have done. And but it takes years. I mean, anybody that buys real estate for 20 years and can make it through some dips and some markets, I mean, they're going to be insanely, successful, but it's not easy. And you don't make money holding it, that's the hardest part. You don't make any money on rentals
Right.
until you either sell or, you know,
Right. It's kind of that.
sell, refi,
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways, but as long as you can hold through the bad times and make some money along the way, I think you're fine.
Yep. It'll pay out. Well, how do you balance, your work, investing, being an agent, being a family man, especially with lake community lifestyle, kids? How do you do all that, Ryan?
Oh, I don't. I think. I mean, I'm busier than ever right now. Like,
Yeah.
but I do think that when I was working my W-2 railroad job, I was gone all the time, working nights, weekends, holidays. Now even though I'm busy, I'm home every evening. I'm home every weekend, unless we're like traveling or out of town. I've been doing quite a bit, but I'm at all my kids' games, tournaments. We juggle it. My wife helps out a lot.
Yeah.
She stays at home now, so that's nice because she can help take
Yeah.
the kids anywhere. But then we try to do a lot with the kids. I take my son and daughter to Chiefs games. We have season tickets out at Sporting. They're with me at most of these games. They're so spoiled. It's funny they don't go to all of them. Sometimes they don't want to go.
Sure.
But traveling, we try to travel quite a bit. We have a couple big trips coming up. We travel with them a lot and try to have fun and every couple of months take them somewhere and kind of enjoy our time. And it is hard to have a business and like not be in the business. So I
Yeah.
think that's the hardest part is like I'm on my phone way too much now, but it's like, it's literally business. I'm not on there, just scrolling. I'm on there emailing or taking notes or, hey, like I need to do this or, it's hard to let go. I've seen, I vacation with some people that are way more busy than me
Mm.
and they don't have their phone. They're like
They're,
tapped out.
yep.
So I think that's the hardest part for me is like um, getting somebody in place too. A lot of these people that I see like delegate a lot of stuff, and so when they leave town or they're you know gone for the weekend or whatever, they have somebody kind of handle all their business. So I think that's just over time getting
Yeah.
certain things in place, and
So that you can really be fully present. And
yeah,
sounds like you're on your way though.
yeah, it's
Making some strides.
it's not easy, but no, it's good. I mean, I try to even with my kids, me and my daughter went down to the Ozarks the other weekend, just me and her, and went out to eat. And she looked at a house with me, and I got it under contract. So
Nice.
we'll have her start working with me.
Okay.
Told her I'd pay her if we got it under contract.
go.
We did. So that was kind of cool because she's 16, doesn't know what she wants to do, and so I was like, well, start working with me, and
Absolutely.
she doesn't have to do real estate, but she'd at least learn a lot,
Yeah.
even if she doesn't want to get into it. Or she could go work at Target like she wants to. And
Hey,
know.
nothing wrong with
yeah,
that.
which is good. I want her to go do whatever
Right.
she wants, but I think it's cool too, just with the kids, like getting a little older and kind of seeing what I'm doing,
And then really that gives them a vision for what they could be and have.
Yeah.
And I know our girls all the time, they're like, we want to do houses too,
Yeah.
and it's
It's
fun to
cool.
watch them get excited about what you do.
I love that. Yeah. I think too, when we're traveling like Mexico or
Yeah.
Belize, it's like I'm always looking up stuff and telling them like, hey, look how much this is, just like, and they're kind of excited about it too,
Yeah. They get connected that way.
Yeah.
All right. So let's jump into our rapid fire.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to keep this quick, super fun, lighthearted. What's your favorite real estate book, Ryan?
It was a couple. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That one's, kind of changes your mindset on things and kind of working for the man. It kind of woke me up. But then also, a book on flipping houses by Jay Scott. That was one of my early ones. It kind of like, I learned a little bit. Definitely not everything. You don't learn until you actually do something. But that kind of got me, confident to flip a house. So those two were kind of early on ones. Yep.
Okay. Favorite business or mindset book?
I like the Alex Hormozy $100 million leads and $100 million offers. Both those are just awesome for kind of business and motivation. And I'd say those two.
I love that. Best piece of advice you've ever received?
I don't know. I think it's just people being positive, and I think the best thing I did was just taking a leap. It wasn't one thing, but having wife, family, friends. When I was trying to transition full time in real estate, just do it. What's the worst that's going to happen? And kind of leaving my job that was super hard to do and getting full time into it, and couldn't be happier. And I couldn't imagine going back to that.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
wild. So just people supporting me, I guess.
Yep.
There's not really one thing, but I have a lot of good support.
Okay. If you had to start over today with 10 grand, what would you do?
With 10 grand, I would probably go to either a private or hard money lender and find a house through a wholesaler or just, on market, off market, whatever I could do. And I would probably try to, just talk to wholesalers, people flipping, people like me, and try to get a deal where I could have 10,000 down, which is very possible. I did a lot of deals with 0 down, and I would try to flip a house or partner up with somebody, to bring all the money down and be 50-50 partners like what I did. You wouldn't really need the 10 grand, but at least, that could help out even having a little bit of skin in the game, So I'd either partner up or find a deal and get hard money or private money and flip it.
Oh, that's excellent advice. So you mentioned a couple times your favorite local Kansas City area to invest in. I've heard you say it a couple times.
Johnson County.
Yep, and why?
It's just A class. It's nice. You can take your kids by the houses.
Yep, sure can.
The tenant pool is good, and I just think it's the best to appreciate and area in Kansas City too. I mean, it's just there's some areas, there's a lot of areas that are gentrifying and stuff downtown and different areas, and those will have big spikes. But then they're also like I feel like they're the areas that kind of like will settle down and won't appreciate as much at times. Just like Johnson County, it's easy. It's been steadily appreciating. It's nice. There's I
There's
just
always going to be people that need good schools and a good place to
Yep,
live.
school 100%.
Yep.
And we get our long-term tenants will stay for years, and they're the easiest tenants ever, but it's just for different situations they're just there and never hear from them, and it's just good.
I know.
And they pay on time.
That mailbox money,
Yeah.
you got to love it. So what's next for you in your real estate journey, Ryan?
I think it's just kind of keep doing what I'm doing, focus a little more on some of these bigger deals on these townhome and condo conversions, and slowly start making money on that, and keep parking money into industrial or whatever that is, or some nice Johnson County houses. But essentially just keep buying a little more and keep trying to make some active income, and maybe slow down a little bit at some point.
Slow down a little bit.
Keep
Take a vacation.
Yeah. This winter, I'm going on a couple vacations in November, but I would like January and February to like be somewhere warm and not have to deal. Last couple of years has been crazy.
Oh, it has been.
So
if people want to follow you in your work, where's the best place to get a hold of you, Ryan?
Just Facebook, Ryan Mellies, and Instagram. I think it's Ryan Mellies, Mellies. I'm not super active on social, but I mean, I post stories and stuff.
Sure.
But need to post more. Brian's always telling us.
You need to post more. Get out there. Let people hear your story, Ryan. Okay. And last but least, if someone's on the fence on buying their first investment property, what's one piece of advice you'd give them? I
think it's just the biggest thing is start being around people that are doing it. Have them bring you a deal, that somebody you trust. And if, any deal I've ever sent to anybody, I would buy it myself. I'm not trying to, get them to buy something they're going to lose on. But I'd also try to have, a little bit of savings for rainy day, no matter if that's flipping a house or, keeping it as a rental, because the market can change quick. Even if you're refining it, I mean, it's all about the appraisal coming in after you rehab it. You might have to bring some money to closing, which happens a lot. But then also flipping, I think it's just having a little money or a partner, to help out and get through the deal. And but I think it's just find somebody that's done it that you trust to bring you the deal and show you the numbers, and then having some help, from somebody like me or somebody that's done it before to kind of, walk you through it and get it completed. Yeah, I guess.
Well, any other final thoughts you want to leave our folks with today, Ryan?
No, I think we talked about it a lot. I could talk about 100 other deals. But
well, we'll have to get you on again.
No, there's a lot of good ones, some bad ones, but that's just part of it.
Yep.
They're all fun, though.
They are.
Most of them.
Well, thank you, Ryan, for your time today. We really appreciate you.
We will hope to connect with you soon.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks
for having me.
Absolutely.